suddenly the shackle at the top comes undone and the sail just comes down. And I just felt so overwhelmed. It just seemed too big for me. Welcome back to Go See the World podcast. I'm Aubrey O'Hare, and today I'm going to go through what it's like to reinvent yourself at 40 as a mother and a captain and doing it all in the public eye. So it's been a wild ride. I've been on YouTube now for 11 years. Becoming a mom at 40 feels different. I have definitely changed a lot since I was 24 when I had Bianca. And, my life has changed. I've really gotten so much better at just kind of enjoying the moment, which I know sounds really cliche, but it's so important in life. And especially when raising children, they have this little spidey sense for when you're paying attention or not. And when you're not, they act out. And when you are, you really get the best of them, I think. At least that's been my experience. So I am super fortunate to be able to, work from home, which is this boat, and explore the world. And, it doesn't come without its drawbacks because I'm doing it in the public eye, and that's left room for a lot of public opinion. And, not every decision I've made I'm super proud of, but I've definitely learned from them. So I took about a year off of YouTube. I know I was kind of pretending like I didn't take that much time off of work. I was like sort of putting some little videos together and pushing them out every couple months after I had Violet. I still had the daily show going on Sailing Miss Lone Star over on Vimeo, but I really took some time to kind of figure out what I was doing. I had this big question on whether or not I would continue sailing or not, because things were a little bit rocky with Violet's father. We didn't really get to know each other very well. We just fell in love, like madly, wildly in love. And, we're like, let's have a baby. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. He's really sweet. But, you really have to make sure that your future plans and if you're equally yoked, right? So, and I know I've said this before, but it's really important to make sure that you're aligned with somebody. And, that word alignment is such like a catchy word right now, but, that you are matched with someone. And so I didn't really take the time to figure out what he wanted in his life moving forward. And I just thought that we would, keep sailing, maybe get a little surf shack somewhere, and I would make YouTube videos about something or other, or, maybe I'd sell lemonade on the side of the road. I don't know. I just was like dreamy and romantic, and it was really great. And so that part was wonderful. I wouldn't take any of that back. But, after I had Violet, things got really real. And I'm like, okay, well, I need you to take over for a while. And I need to kind of reevaluate what I'm doing because, being a YouTube creator is a lot of work. I mean, for every minute of content that we create, it takes about an hour, right? So if you're watching a 15-minute video, it probably took us 15 hours to make it. So, it's not nothing. It's not just pointing the camera and, magically this video turns out. I mean, I'm sure that will happen with AI, but, I really wanted to take some time off and kind of rediscover in which direction I wanted to go with my life, with YouTube, with everything. So I was fortunate enough to be able to have a friend that let me stay in her guest house in Texas for about, I want to say a year, but it's like 8 months on and off. I went back to Houdini quite a bit and spent time with Esteban, Violet's father, and just really took some time to do some micro learning. I watched a ton of master classes. I wrote a lot, and I was just doing a lot of self-discovery, trying to figure out what the next chapter really looked like. And that was important because I feel like there is so much that I want to do differently with Violet. And now being a mom at 40 is this opportunity to do things so much better because I'm able to take a breath and to recognize patterns in myself and in the world and not freak out. So that's been a huge gift. Ultimately, I decided to come back to YouTube, come back to the boat. Land life just was not for me. Everything changing all the time is really what keeps me inspired in life, right? And you know, looking out the window and seeing the same scene every day really isn't my scene. So I was aching to get back to the boat, but didn't really know how to navigate that, how to figure that out. Like, how would I breastfeed and helm the boat? How would I, route plan? And what about bad weather? And, how could I do this on my own as a single mom if Esteban didn't want to join me or couldn't join me? So, that really became the reality of it. And what I have to say is that nothing's impossible, but some things take a lot of extra planning. And so that is exactly what this is. Sailing with a baby as a single mom is really tough. And so I really just leaned on my friends. And so Jordan joined me, and, we were working on another business because for as much as I have loved doing YouTube, living my life in the public eye has been really difficult. It's kind of shaped some of my decisions out of fear of what people would say. And I probably shouldn't admit that. But it's true. I would get on the computer and open it up and look at the latest comments on my YouTube videos, and I'd be really sad. It would be hard to read them because, some of it was true. Like, some decisions I made, I wouldn't make again. And but at the same time, YouTube was creating this opportunity for me to be home and to spend more time with my kids. And also, I didn't really know what else I would be doing. I'm a writer, I'm a photographer, but things have really changed. And so YouTube has been kind of the lifeblood of putting food on the table and being able to explore and spend time with my family. So, it brought me back. But I called Jordan. I said, what if we did a charter company? What if we did women's corporate retreats? And she was like, yeah, that's a really great idea. So bringing sailing and team building together in a setting for women. And so I had a lot of interest from investors and things, and a good friend of mine wanted to invest in it. And we started looking for a catamaran. So we spent a lot of time traveling around. If you watch The Daily Show over on Vimeo, you'll see us go to Africa, to Greece, all over Florida, looking and shopping for the perfect catamaran for this, because we're going to be luxury women's charters. So ultimately, we went to South Africa and put an offer in on a 58 Leopard, and the survey left much to be desired. The survey I did, and then the survey that we had hired for, he ended up not giving us the survey for 2 months, and the deal went really sour. And the investor, my friend, it was really hard for her to stomach. So we kind of regrouped, and Jordan and I were like, you know what? Let's just sail. So we have really leaned into sailing, and we're headed towards the Panama Canal. I'm coming to you from Nicaragua right now, and Jordan is off with her man friend in an Airbnb. So yeah, that's kind of what's happened over this last year. And there's just been a lot of like self-evaluation and looking back and, asking myself like the cost and the reward of creating and living this life of mine in front of the public eye. And, it's given me purpose. It's really given me the opportunity to meet so many of you and to have all of these really amazing connections. And I think to make a small difference in the world and inspire people and let them know that nothing's impossible, really. It's just how much do you want that thing. And if you want something enough, there's always a way to figure it out. And that's been my experience in this life, this little life of mine, is that, anything that really set my mind to, I've been able to do, and not without sacrifice. That is absolutely certain. And, that's the crux. That's what we look back on and, maybe we regret, or maybe we do differently in the future. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So the plan is to circumnavigate, and I'm able to do that because I have Savannah and I have Jordan. Savannah is like the salt of the earth human being, and she is Violet's best friend. So, when I'm route planning, when I'm at the helm, when the weather's bad, she's with Violet, and it would be impossible to do it without her, I think. So, when I say I'm doing this alone, I'm not really doing it alone. I'm doing it with Savannah and with Jordan. So Savannah is absolutely just pivotal to this project, this exploration, this YouTube channel, everything. Violet's super happy. She's such a good baby, which makes it easy. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And Jordan has been helping me with night watches, and she's learning how to sail and how to live on the water. And there's a big learning curve. So she's doing great. I'm really proud of her, and we're all very inspired to be seeing these new places and these new cultures, and to bring it to you through our eyes. And that's been just really incredible, and I'm so thankful for that. So what I've learned over this last 11 years. I think it took me a good 8 years to really learn how to trust myself. I remember when I got onto that little pink boat, that 29 cal that I bought for $1 with Bianca, my oldest daughter, who's now almost 17. And she was, 7 at the time, maybe 8. And I just remember hoisting the sail up, and, it had these like slugs, the thing that holds the sail onto the track, and they're making all sorts of noises, and I get the sail up and the wind fills it, and then suddenly the shackle at the top comes undone and the sail just comes down. And it was very anticlimactic. This is my maiden voyage on Little Miss, and I looked at Bianca, and I've got this little 9 horsepower Johnson kicker on the back. It's a little outboard, and it's putzing, and Bianca's just looking at me like, yeah, we've got this. Also a little bit annoyed because we've left her friends at the marina. And I just felt so overwhelmed. It just seemed too big for me. It seemed like I was pretending, like I was, playing captain, or, but it got really real because we're out on the water. And, now I've got this sail up, and I've got this, little girl on the boat, and I am putting on this face of bravery. But, there was just so much doubt there. And if I could look back and say anything to that Aubrey, that self, is, to not have so much doubt, and that's a big thing a difference between men and women that I've noticed is, men tend to boldly go where no other man has gone before. And it seems to me from the outside that they exude a lot more confidence, and there isn't as much imposter syndrome when it comes to doing things big like that. And that was something that I really admired and envied in men that were doing the same thing. And I wanted that for myself. And if I could look back, and if I could get back to that woman, that young woman, and tell her something, it would just be like, have the confidence. You can do it. It's okay. And yeah, I'd also give her a hug because it was a big deal. It was a really big deal. And, I was, out there saying, if I can do it, you can do it. And that is the truth, is that if I can do it, you can do it. I really put that boat together with glue and hope. And I made it. Little Miss served me as my little home for my older daughter and son and my dog for a long time. And we explored, and I learned, and it was just really special. And I am so thankful that I did it. But I wish that I would have been more confident and more kind to myself. I kind of bullied myself through that time to this point. And I mean, I'm glad I did. I pushed really hard, but I wish I would have just had a little more confidence, because I deserve that confidence. And so do you. I think that, if there's another human being out there that's ever done it, for sure you can do it. And that is my big takeaway from my time on Little Miss and building that little life on that little pink boat, which has brought me to this boat, which is a 51 Formosa. It's a 1977 classic boat. It's a ketch. And from nose to toes, she's 62.5 feet. And it's a big boat. It's a 14-foot beam, which is the width of it. And she drafts about 6 feet, which is 2 meters. And she's really heavy. She's, 25 tons. And I am now captain of a ship. We call it the pirate ship, but it's been a long road from there to here. And now I have some of the same emotions, when I'm pulling in and out of docks, and it feels like really scary because there's just all this boat that I'm trying to maneuver and the inertia of it. And, it's not really responsive. I don't have a bow thruster, but, I see other people doing it, and they're doing it, which means I can do it, and which means you can do it. So if it's your dream to own a big, beautiful pirate ship that needs lots of varnish, then get out there and do it. Absolutely get out there and do it. Something that I read recently, I think it was in Decoding Greatness, was about reinvention and how anyone that's been successful in life has gone through many versions of themselves. And, you always remain who you are at your core, but reinvention and growth is so important in order to stay alive and to stay inspired and to stay relevant. And I have really been leaning into that lately and really thinking about who I have become and who I want to become in the future. And, at 40, I've kind of have one foot, I feel like, in these two different spaces of life where, my 30s, I still, you're still kind of like figuring things out a lot. And in your 40s, I feel like you're doing it, right? You're doing the thing that you figured out. And so I'm at the cusp of that. And I am looking at, what things interest me and how the channel Sailing with Lone Star is going to evolve, and other things that interest me, like this podcast. And I'm really excited for this podcast because I'm looking forward to having the opportunity to interview some really fantastic people coming up about travel, about leadership, about, mindset, and how to have the right mindset in order to do these big, wild, amazing things in your life. And, learning has been this hunger for me that is just insatiable. So this platform, I hope, will be a really great way for me to learn with you guys, and we can have these wonderful conversations with these amazing, incredible people. And, podcasts have become really popular lately, and I'm really excited to be a part of that big group of explorers and conversationalists, and interview some people that are making big changes and have very interesting brains. So becoming a mom at 40 has really pressed the sort of the fast forward button a little bit for me on figuring out, exactly what I would do differently as a new mom again at 40. And my key takeaway is slowing down, and just really taking in those moments, because how fast they go. I make sure to take a picture of her every day. I make sure to read those books to her, and to just smell her hair. I really just enjoy her in such a deeper way than I was capable of with my older children, because I was so concerned about, what was going to happen if things didn't go right. Would I be able to feed them, to clothe them, to house them? And now I realize that, the only thing that stays the same is that everything changes. And what I've learned about myself is that I will always persevere. I will always find a way. And even if things look different or scary, it's not the end of the world. And that's made me a better mom. Absolutely made me a better mom. So it's a gift to be able to become a mother with more wisdom. Can I chase her the way that I was able to chase Bianca? No, not so much. But I have Savannah, and she's incredible, and she's got tons of energy. And together, it's been really great. And I think that's really reflects in Violet and her demeanor and personality and her ease. She's a very easy kid, and she's also very relaxed. And I think that has a lot to do with how relaxed I am. So I am very grateful to be able to experience motherhood again at 40. And it doesn't erase the things that I wish I could change about raising my older two kids, but it has given me a lens into what I do different. And I think that, the main goal is to forgive ourselves for our mistakes and our regrets in life. I mean, that's the goal, right? We don't want to beat ourselves up forever. And I feel like this has given me that opportunity, and I'm so thankful for that. So yeah, that's kind of my takeaway. I know that is, I know that's kind of a big thought, but that's where I'm at with it. I feel like I have this opportunity to try again and to do better, and that's really special. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's a huge help and it's free. So I'll see you next time on Go See the World.